gonna do? I'm gonna tweet my displeasure. That's right. I'm gonna jump on social media and I'm gonna tweet about it until my fingers bleed. And on that tweet, in that tweet, and however many characters I get, I am gonna threaten. That's right. If I don't get what I want, I'm gonna riot.
Right, let's talk about the meta. No, actually, let's talk about Eastside Beyblades for a bit, because I think that would flow smoothly for what I was talking about. The last time I talked about Eastside Beyblades was in response to a reply he left on my post joking about buying up an entire Target stock of Silver Wolves. Like I said, him and I have no actual beef with each other, as I understood where he was coming from and I genuinely thought his heart was in the right place. But recently there has been a disquiet regarding the current Beyblade X meta that Eastside shot a torch on and has now become a bit of a lightning rod for Beyblade discourse. While it may seem like a bold move for a tournament organizer like himself, it might actually end up being a bit of a PR problem. This sort of incident has led to numerous responses and some disappointing controversial responses from Eastside. Oh boy. The whole thing started with this tweet Eastside made condemning the whole meta of Wizard Rod, Cobalt Dragoon on Elevate, and Aero Pegasus. The guy voicing his displeasure at the idea that these three blades constantly topping local scenes and demanding tournament organizers to make proper rule sets or bans to prevent these blades from constantly showing up. This garnered a response from many people, including some Baytubers, criticizing the outlook on the competitive space. How the uproar is just a skill issue, and that completely banning the builds will just hinder competitive communities' room for growth, creativity, and improvement. The Eastside Beyblade account had already input a rule about the meta base, how Rod and Dragoon cannot win you a match, and if it's a match point, you give up a point to switch base to a non-meta one, effectively discourage even bringing builds that include Wizard Rod or Cobalt Dragoon to the events. The account also ended up doubling down, making fun of the responses, saying how the people criticizing him were not actually winning against the meta. This only led to more people to respond with the same backlash of how these rules and restrictions were hindering the growth of the community Eastside was creating. Stuff like this isn't really new, and I get what Eastside Blades was trying to do. A lot of the times, your local community might not like that Wizard Rod keeps showing up every week to terrorize the competition. But that's what customization and practice is for, and we players should always encourage practice and training to find a way to beat it. It's not like there's certain YouTubers out there that use Wizard Rod on Ball as practice dummies to show that it can be beat on a constant basis. I mean, Doctor Strange did not beat Dormammu just by telling it to go away and never come back.
And your assault on my world. Never come back.
Oh, bad example. The Avengers didn't beat Thanos by telling him he's banned from Earth and not fighting him. My own personal take on this whole meta thing is that banning blades won't solve the issue in a game like Beyblade. While it is true Takara Tomy has a limited list for certain parts and Wizard Rod is on the Hall of Fame list so it can't be used on 1v1 stages, it's not as restrictive as what Eastside proposes. It's not like Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh! Where you ban cards in order to stop autopiloting one-turn kill engines. Beyblade itself does not have that problem because in order to beat the meta, you have to strategize and you can actually beat meta. In Yu-Gi-Oh! You can't do that, you just wait for your opponent to finish and then you just lose. In Beyblade, you actually can do something about it. I personally don't believe restricting parts or enacting really heavy unfair rules to discourage their use will help the player base, but at the end of the day, I understand though as a tournament organizer through their point of view that why they need to do that because no one at their locals want to be constantly seeing this for 6+ hours. Like come on, I gotta work the next morning. But really, at the end of the day, Eastside is the tournament organizer and he can run his tournament however he likes. If I was a local there, my response would have been to just not go that week and find somewhere else to play. That's really about it, really. A tournament organizer has a hot take about the meta and makes crazy changes to their own tournament scene. Everyone says it's bad, and really there are only two options to go from there. Either fix it or suck it up and life moves on. Really should be the end of the video at this point, but that wasn't enough for Eastside. Not by a long shot. Unfortunately, not content to just cover his ass and walk away, Eastside Beyblade has decided to just respond to most of the criticism with a mixture of immaturity and hostility, picking fights with the likes of Jacob Pomegranate and hilariously telling him to pretty much square up and go to Georgia to Bay battle him. I admit that was pretty damn funny. But unfortunately, this level of return trolling can only be fun for a few minutes, especially since you are supposed to be a tournament organizer that represents your community. In response to Bond of Kindness on Twitter criticizing his rulings, Eastside Beyblades went low and attacked them for their autism. This sort of ableist response was followed up with a response to Heather DeBoer on Twitter, attacking her for having Siguru as her profile picture and making fun of her gender identity. Then it is also came up by Razu Ryan, who I have also worked with in the past, that Eastside Beyblades was also mocking fellow organizers that were recently victims in very serious car accidents. Yikes! Freaking yikes! The backlash that this caused was swift and vicious, not only highlighting the scumbagness of such statements, especially as a tournament organizer, but also the hypocrisy behind such statements to be making. Pim Prue, who is known in the community as the real-life multi-niner hero, responded with understandably disgust and contempt at the personal attacks they did over criticism that wasn't even mean-spirited, making a follow-up post that perfectly summarizes the endgame of this whole situation. Even Daniel J. Delphin, the voice actor of Pax Forsyth in Beyblade Burst, condemned Eastside's comments towards Heather. I don't know who actually runs Eastside's account, and I don't particularly have any interest in finding out, but I personally am not mad at the comments made. I am just disappointed, especially since I was hoping to travel down to Georgia sometime to participate in their community. But yesterday evening, Eastside has made a threatened apology for their actions, and to give them the benefit of the doubt, I will read this in full. I expressed my idea on a subject and a person's response was it's dog shit and garbage. So for me, in like, okay, cool, here we go, round one. Context, I never care if someone disagrees. It's when you start cursing, I feel tried and feel I shouldn't have just let someone talk. As most people do when you read a comment and prepare a response, you go to their page and see who's talking to you. When I went to said person's profile, their bio contained information saying they were neurodivergent. When I read that info, my response was to let it be, aka let it go, dismiss, not fight. I wouldn't pick a fight with a neurodivergent person in person, so I didn't feel I should online either. However, how I worded it may have come off as I was trying to be funny or throw shade, and I can 100% assure that wasn't my intentions. There was no LOL, there was no emoji. I apologize to anyone too and everyone who may have thought I was trying to be funny. I would never joke like that. I am sorry. All I was trying to say is I don't want to fight with you. So why didn't you say that in the first place that you didn't want to fight and just drop it? Like, I don't really want to be leaning into this apology and tearing it down or anything like that, because at the end of the day, it is what it is. All I can really say, just small piece of advice, no one ever said that Baytubers or influencers or organizers or any public figure has to be saints or angels. But what is important is setting a good example for the community. It's okay to have your takes on certain topics, and there will be people who disagree with you, but do not step over the line as if you are trying to initiate some kind of gotcha to be cool or funny. I mean, at the end of the day, Beyblading is all about having fun, and I know there is a temptation to respond to negative criticism, but it's usually not that worth it, and if you do respond, you usually just try to be funny. And as a tournament organizer, you are allowed to do whatever you need to make sure your community can have an enjoyable experience, and you are not obligated to take any criticism people outside your community has to heart, but maybe their suggestions or criticism can help you. I mean, I do understand where you are coming from. It is true. Wizard Rod, Phoenix Wing, Silver Wolf, Cobalt Dragoon on Elevate, and Aero Pegasus are actually dominating the meta, and you do have to do whatever it takes to make sure your community stays happy. I mean, at the very least, Eastside Beyblades as not being a Pakun trying to claim they were hacked or that their tweets was some fake AI generation or something. But no doubt that the community where Eastside is might have some second thoughts about their participation in future events considering his online behavior, because this kind of crash out over Wizard Rod is just plain crazy. I like Benny's reaction to this. It really just says a lot to this whole thing. Rod didn't just take out the competition, it took out his whole career. I mean, I hate Wizard Rod as much as the next guy, but seriously, at least my hatred of Wizard Rod is funny and a running gag on this channel. But ladies and gentlemen, that was the Meta East debacle. Again, I am not angry with him, I'm just disappointed.
I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed. I'm just disappointed. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed.
Maybe there is a shot that Eastside will bounce back from all this, but only time will tell. Anyway, Saber Samurai video coming out tomorrow.